Hello YouTube, Great RJ1 here. So if you saw the last video, if I'm doing this correctly, it was the Kylo Ren Hero Goals, and I already mentioned why I haven't done Palpatine next, compared to what I actually said I would be doing a couple months back. I've already explained it in that video, so I'm not going to really repeat myself. So I'm just going to get over to this video. So this hero guide is for Anakin, so of course we'll be going over pretty much the same things we did with Kylo Ren, but for Anakin, he's a pretty aggressive hero like Kylo Ren, and is pretty offensive. However, has not got much stamina. So yeah, he's well aggressive. He has to be managed quite well when it comes to his stamina, and that's really is pretty much it. He's quite aggressive, but he is quite powerful if used correctly, and he's also quite easy to get the hang of once you know how to use him. So let's get into the main parts for him, shall we? So his health is 800, and I got for him the proper health regen, so I forgot to do that with Kylo. Got this with Anakin. His health regen is 250, so he can regenerate 250 health if he's lost more than what he can handle. So that's what I'm just going to say it like that. His main attack is his lightsaber. I would say it's quite medium when it comes to its swing speed. It's not too fast, but it's also not too slow, so I'm going to say it's not like Kylo's where he attacks quite fast, but he's not like, for example, Vader attacks quite slow. He attacks at just about a medium speed, so yeah. Now for his lightsaber swing seal, 130 from the front and 170 from the back. Now you can only do 12 swings before running out of stamina. So his first ability is pull. This is his pull. This basically makes him pull enemies towards him, and it deals 120 damage to non-heroes and 80 damage to heroes. So yeah, it also has a 15-second cooldown, so it's quite efficient and is pretty useful when you're trying to get rid of a Boba Fett. So I recommend doing a certain star cards, which I will mention so later. So yeah, his middle ability is Heroic Might. This deals 100 damage to non-heroes. I'm pretty sure that's when it's fully charged. But does deal only 90 damage to heroes, but that's not much of a drop off if you ask me. And it has an 18-second cooldown, so yeah. Then we come into his last ability that has an actual proper cooldown. This is Passionate Strike. This makes him swing his saber up and then down, going through blocks with both swings. So this is a two-part ability. The first swing is when he swings up. The second one is when he swings down. That's a bit of a tongue twister. And this is 70 damage on the first strike and 180 damage on the second one to non-heroes, but deals 70 damage on the first strike and it deals 40 damage and does on the first strike and 130 damage on the second strike to heroes. It has a 13-second cooldown. Then we have the last one, which is Retribution. Oh, still can't say it properly. This basically makes him choke all enemies around him, and it does not have a cooldown. It actually is gained by it's being charged up by you or your enemies having 2,500 damage dealt to them, so you're not going to get it much in a 1v1. However, you will get it quite often in modes, you could say, like trooper modes and maybe heroes versus villains if you're able to survive long enough. So yeah, now we get into its damage. So it deals 100 damage on the choke and 100 damage on the push to non-heroes, but deals 75 damage on the choke and deals 75 damage on the push, so it only goes on for about 2 seconds, I'm pretty sure. So it rounds up to 200 choke damage on non-heroes and 150 damage on the choke to heroes, I'm pretty sure, if I'm doing that correctly, with the 75 push damage. So that's quite a lot when it comes over to his damage. He's pretty insane. Anakin's pretty much all about damaging enemies, and that pretty much is told in his abilities. So now we can get into his strat. So I'm not going to say the words because I know I can't say it, so I'm just going to say strat. So let's get into his strat. He's pretty much very much like Kylo. He's very offensive. However, he's not like. However, what makes him different from Kylo is how he has to be played much more wisely. With Kylo, yes, he's fast and he can be taken out quite well, and he can't be taken out as well because of frenzy, which can beat him out heroes quite well if they're not blocking. But when it comes to Anakin, he only really has passionate strike for his way to stop heroes from getting past a hero's scars. So he really struggles when it comes over to attacking heroes in the way Kylo does. So he attacks in a very different way. So he, well, say very different. He attacks in pretty much a similar way. He's pretty much quite on the offense. However, if you play much more wisely, so you're doing bursts of attacks because you can't keep because he's much more of an aggressive hero. You have to manage his stamina well. So he's pretty much a burst attack hero. You basically just burst your attacks, and then once you're done attacking, you stop attacking. You don't want to overdo your attacks because then he'll run out of stamina, and that's pretty much what allows you to attack in this game. So you really want to conserve that. So unlike Kylo, where he can deal out damage fast, and even when he runs out of stamina, he can just rely on frenzy to keep on attacking and get his stamina back while he's using frenzy. You can't really do that with Anakin because he does not have an ability like that can allow him to get it back unless you count heroic might. But that's also the only way he can really get health when he's without being attacked by, because most people will try and block the attack if they're a lightsaber hero. But non-saber heroes will likely keep on attacking you, and sometimes the people will attack you as a saber hero while you're doing might in the heroic might charging animation, just gonna say. And that's really his only way to get his stamina and health back without being in the middle of a battle with a lightsaber hero. That's really his only way to. However, he's pretty strong when it comes to handling heroes, because the way he does the bursts of attacks, they're quite powerful. So if you do a double parry every time an enemy attacks you, you're pretty much good to go. And speaking of a parry, basically stun by holding down the block button when you hear the clash sound effects. Remember, this only really works on abilities and lightsabers. Once you hear the lightsaber clash, you attack once and make sure you're holding down block, otherwise it won't work. And this will end up making you do a unblockable attack, and you won't take any damage. Just press it twice if you want to do it as an attack where you basically oh, basically, if you want to do a double parry, just attack twice, and you pretty much perform the double parry. Then, now we got that out of the way, we can get back to his strats. Like I said, he is a burst attack hero. You can't really attack too much, because Kylo, yes, well, he's good. He's not as good when it comes. He's not as good at burst attacks as. Well, he's pretty good, but when it comes to Anakin, he's pretty much Kylo if he was a much slower hero. So if you struggle with Anakin, I recommend playing him in as if he's Kylo and Vader mixed together, because that's pretty much how he is. He has the retribution for his force choke. He has basically a pull for, well, Kylo Ren's pull. He has slow attacks like Vader, which are quite powerful like Vader. He's quite agile like Kylo, and his heroic might, it's pretty much Luke's V-Pulse but better, and his passionate strike is his version of Vader's lightsaber throw and frenzy really, so, and Kylo's frenzy. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to Anakin's strats. Just do burst attacks. He's not that good when it comes over to normal attacks, so just keep that in mind. So now we can get into his star cards. Now Anakin, he's got some, his star cards aren't really as good as he is himself. When it comes to 1v1ing, I'm more of a 1v1 player, so that's basically what I'm basing this all off really. This is really just my experience in the 1v1, because I don't really play any other modes. So starting off with the 1v1ing. So if you want some 1v1ing, you want to have your first star cards being Tenacious. Keep in mind I'm doing it by the max rank of the star cards. This gives him 100 extra health, giving him 900 health. This pretty much is quite good, especially when you're fighting Vader, because this pretty much nearly makes you on par with him when it comes to health. So this is pretty much always recommended. On Hero Showdown, you want to have Attraction on. This gives pull dominance, his pull, and next a greater range by, I'm pretty sure, 5 meters. And this is very useful when it comes to dueling Boba, and it may not seem much, but it is quite noticeable. Next up, the last star card you want for Hero Showdown is Raw Strength. This basically makes him deal more damage with Heroic Might by 50. So I recommend this star card because once it actually hits, it will become quite powerful. And if you chain all 4 of the abilities and move to Saber Strikes, you're really going to be damaging the enemy quite badly. So when it comes over to heroes versus villains, I recommend Tenacious still. I'm just going to look through quickly. Okay, so I still recommend Tenacious. I think that's a card that should always be used, and I pretty much just go with the same loadout. There's not really many cards that can really just be used any better. Maybe you could use all of them in place of Raw Strength, but then you're not always going to be hitting 2 enemies, and really I never really hit 2. I'm usually always normally when I have a good match, it's usually 1 enemy at a time or something like that. So yeah, I pretty much just go with the same loadout, unless you're fighting up, unless the enemies keep on being together, then put on all of them in place of instead of Raw Strength. But apart from that, keep it the same. Now Trooper modes, I rarely play them, so just take this with a grain of salt. This is just what I think from my experience. You want Tenacious, of course, extra health. This is going to be quite useful to your survival in that mode, because you have to get back those 4,000 battle points. Then you probably want to use Attraction. Pretty much that's going to be quite good. You get the extra range. So yeah, I would assume that's pretty much exactly what you want. Really, you want them to be closer to you so they don't have the advantage of range. Now the next cards can go over to pretty much either these 3 cards. The main one, of course, would probably be Raw Strength. This loadout's pretty much usable in any modes, really, in my opinion. It's pretty powerful. So, yeah. The second, now in place of Raw Strength, could be Massive Strikes. Really just depends on how you prefer. Would you rather do more damage, or would you just rather do more power with your heroic might, because you're likely going to be using heroic might to take out multiple enemies anyway. And plus, I don't think that stamina cost is even worth it. His stamina's already not much, and making his burst of attacks even less. You don't really want to be doing that with Anakin, because he needs those attack bursts, but when they're narrowed down even more, it is a bit useless. I've never really used his cards really properly, so, and like I said, I'm not a trooper mode player, so this really is up to you. Do you want to roll Strength, Massive Strikes, or Steamroll after every enemy trooper defeated, or after dealing 200 damage to villains? This decreases all of Anakin's stamina by 2%. This will build up every single time you defeat an enemy trooper or deal another 200 damage to villains, up to the point where you get to 40%, and that's where it ends. This one I pretty much recommend using over Raw Strength. So pretty much go Tenacious, Attraction, and Steamroll for trooper modes. That's my recommendation, because with Anakin this allows you to do much larger bursts when you're using your lightsaber swings. If you want, you could do Tenacious, Massive Strikes, and Steamroll. I don't know if Steamroll will do much, but yeah, we are going to be always really attacking enemy troopers. Really, that's really what you're going to be doing. So if there's any 2 loadouts I'd recommend for trooper modes: Tenacious, Attraction, Steamroll if you prefer extra range with your pull, but I'd probably just go Tenacious, Massive Strikes, and Steamroll. I probably would have just gone with the same loadout, or maybe the same loadout but instead of Raw Strength, Steamroll, but I'm probably going to be using Massive Strikes and Steamroll for now that I think about it. So yeah, that's really my recommendations when it comes to Anakin. So yeah, now I can probably get back to Palpatine when I decide to make him. I've already been quite frustrated trying to get out the first video on Gonk dueling, so I'm probably not going to be doing Palpatine, and plus I've had to just literally do 2 videos in a row, so don't expect much for now on the content. I think I need a bit of a break before I go to making a couple more videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.